Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to this session at IBM TechU 21. Thank you very much for participating at this session about setting up IBM Spectrum Protect and Plus in a multi-tenant as a service architecture. So, here I am. My name is Thomas Bach and I'm CEO of the software company Auwau. I really enjoyed being here last year and it's great to be back. Please do not hesitate to ask questions during the presentation. Just write your questions and comments in the chat and I'll make sure to respond. After the session, I'll stay around for a while to make sure that all questions are answered. Let me start by giving you a little overview of the content of this session. First of all, you'll get a short introduction to our company and the software platform Cloutility, which we develop and deliver to clients all over the world. Then I will take you through some real-life customer experiences and talk about the challenges of an as-a-service setup. I'll round the session up with summarizing what you will get out of implementing Cloutility or similar software on top of your own data protection infrastructure and go through installation prerequisites and how to actually get started on your new modernized as-a-service data protection setup. Our name, Auwau, it stands for automation and always with a wow factor in mind. And that's really how we ensure to focus on customer value and great user experience. When we get an idea for a new feature, we don't just develop it. We actually discuss it and keep challenging the idea until we're sure that our customers will go wow after the release. Customer experience in software solutions of today is such an important thing to have in mind. Also, when an idea or a requirement comes from one of our customers, we have to understand how this same idea may be of value to other customers simply by perhaps changing the idea a little bit and make a few settings to fit into different customer needs. And we are really always looking for that wow factor and wow effect. Our software platform Cloutility, it's an on-prem web-based software solution for delivering backup as a service. It seamlessly plugs into your backup infrastructure and among other features, the solution provides role-based self-service, custom reporting and alerting, recurring billing automation and showback. Cloutility organizes business units in a secure multi-tenant environment, reflecting the user's real world of business units, customers, and departments. Cloutility has part numbers in IBM Passport Advantage, and hence it can be delivered by IBM and IBM partners all over the world. So, let's start out with some real-life customer cases. Back in 2016, IBM responded to an RFP in a US federal entity. They required a backup solution which was scalable in the petabyte range and would be able to back up thousands of machines in a robust and secure environment. Of course, IBM Spectrum Protect was a perfect match for a large tender like this. The special requirement in this tender was a need for the IT department to deliver data protection as a service to all underlying departments of defense. They needed to segregate the departments and still consolidate backups in a centralized data protection infrastructure. A requirement like this calls for a secure multi-tenant setup. So we worked with IBM and a US IBM partner to include Cloutility in the RFP, and IBM won the customer. Cloutility provided a secure multi-tenant model which allowed the IT department on the top level to create their underlying business units and underlying departments of defense, and also these departments' own server groups. All departments now got departmental reporting isolated from the rest of the organization, of course. Reports containing information about consumption for each department and also daily status and alerts on backups. In US Federal, all users are being authenticated by so-called Common Access Cards, or CAC for short, when they log into applications. They simply stick the card into their machine, and the card now authenticates the user for the available applications for the said user. The single sign-on functionality in Cloutility is generic, so that it can be configured to support any identity provider really, including the CAC card methodology, of course. And another thing is two-factor authentication, also built into Cloutility as a configurable feature. And 2FA or multi-factor authentication has lately shown to be another very important feature for clients in US federal, and is of course used by many of our other clients too. The data protection team from the Dutch tax offices were looking for a solution which could be distributed to their departments in a self-service setup. Departmental users needed self-service access to their own part of the data protection environment to help themselves with the daily administrative tasks. 2 years ago in Dresden at an IBM conference, the data protection administrators from the Dutch tax office came to me and explained their challenges of having a centralized IT infrastructure or backup infrastructure which needed to be allocated to different departmental users and giving them access to administration of their own part of the environment. The Dutch tax offices had even been looking at alternatives to IBM Spectrum Protect. But today they run enterprise class data protection from central IT with IBM Spectrum Protect and with Cloutility, giving their departmental users access to self-service. A centralized administrative console built into Cloutility even allows privileged users to run any administrative commands to Spectrum Protect servers on which they have administrative access with username and password. Cloutility was initially built for managed service providers. Not until later in our history we got clients like US Defense, Dutch tax offices, universities and other enterprise clients. Today it's quite normal to see the enterprise IT departments setting up services and acting like internal service providers. And of course they simply copy some of all the best practices that they have from the traditional hosting and hosting providers and MSPs. FrontSafe is a managed service provider in Northern Europe running a data protection environment with petabytes of data. Thousands of end customers and 10,000s of machines being backed up. With thousands of business customers, the burden upon the Spectrum Protect administrators and the support team could be enormous. But it isn't really. With Cloutility, FrontSafe has set up a channel of OEM-branded partners who have their own logins. These partners take care of their own customers. They add their customers. They activate and schedule backups for their customers. They allow their own end customers to do these things. They provide customers with reports and act as first-level support. So they even use the billing engine in Cloutility to automate the invoicing of their own customers. FrontSafe, on the top level of the hierarchy, they invoice all of their direct customers and also their resell partners, of course. They have a setup where they have subscriptions built into Cloutility or configured in Cloutility, which matches the commercial contracts with their customers. For each customer in Cloutility, they create a contract and activate the relevant subscription. Now Cloutility creates a monthly billing foundation with 10,000s of billing lines. The billing foundation can be sent out from Cloutility in CSV or JSON formats, but can also be retrieved via the Cloutility REST API. So in the case of FrontSafe, they do billing of thousands of clients in a matter of minutes, having their invoice system suck the billing data right out of Cloutility via the REST API. And just for your information, the REST API in Cloutility is extensive. So everything we do in our UI, in our user interface, can actually be done via the REST API. So integration with any other applications is really straightforward with Cloutility. The IBM business partner Cristie Nordic are specialized around helping managed service providers and enterprise clients with setting up their own backup as a service environments. Cristie therefore needed a software solution for these different customers to enable them with all the backup as a service capabilities, which very rarely comes plug and play with the core data protection platform. Not surprisingly, Cloutility was the answer. In this case, not only because Cloutility delivers the multi-tenancy, the reporting, the self-service, the billing automation and much more for each individual MSP or enterprise, but because Cloutility also has the capability of Cloutility to Cloutility communication. So for Cristie, with lots of individual Cloutility instances installed at customer sites, Cloutility supports a model where each individual Cloutility instance reports metadata for billing into a central Cristie Cloutility instance. In this way, Cristie can actually automate their billing of Cloutility licenses as well as backup software licenses and other services delivered by Cristie Nordic. So, through different case stories, we have shown how Cloutility can be the answer to different needs and requirements from MSPs and enterprises. And let's just summarize what normally brings Cloutility into play. First of all, multi-tenancy is an extremely important driver. The need to segregate business units and still consolidate backups in a centralized setup is almost always one key aspect which we need to solve. And then also, now with both IBM Spectrum Protect and Plus in play from IBM side, Cloutility becomes this single pane of glass which gives a unified visibility into both platforms, reports on both platforms, and of course automates billing on both platforms. End-user self-service seems to become more and more important. Users are used to handle many tasks themselves through easy-to-understand and easy-to-use applications. If users are not offered a good experience with what you offer them, they will simply choose their own way. Freeing up resources from the IT department by giving the users access to whatever self-service they can makes the entire setup more scalable. And self-service features can also be crucial from a documentation standpoint. As one example, documentation of deletion of backup data. Who are actually allowed to request data deleted? Who should approve it? How is data deleted? And after deletion, is all of this documented? In Cloutility, this is a built-in configurable process. Reporting is a crucial part of Cloutility. You configure your preferred default error settings on the top level in the multi-tenant hierarchy, and these settings are now inherited to descendant business units, resellers, customers, and departments. If a customer needs settings which differs from your top level default, then that's no problem. Reports can be accessed through the user interface as well as sent to users automatically via email reports. No service without billing automation. The very flexible billing engine in Cloutility allows you to create subscriptions, which are kind of pricing models, pricing definitions, and for each customer you create a contract and activate the appropriate subscription. Now Cloutility will generate a monthly billing output containing all billing lines for all customers. Lots of settings ensure that you can set up Cloutility to match exactly the model you use for your invoicing today. And it's easy to make changes when things change in the future. Graphs in Cloutility will show you monthly financials back in time and give sales and finance users a great overview of your business growth. So let's talk a little bit about implementation. Implementing Cloutility is really easy. We have a well-documented installation workflow described in our administrative guide. You need to have a Windows server in place, physical or virtual, and access to an MS SQL database. and that's it. Now you download the software, and our software installer will take care of everything, including installing an internet information server on the Cloutility machine and creating the Cloutility database on your MS SQL server. The final step will be configuration of Cloutility. You need to add your hierarchy of business units, assign backup nodes from your backup servers to the business units, configure your preferred settings for reports, create your user roles, and then create your users who should have access to logging in, of course. Installation and configuration is not a big project. You can be up and running in a matter of hours, and of course the Auwau team is standing by to assist you. And nothing in your own Spectrum Protect environment needs to be changed. The whole setup is it plugs seamlessly into the way you're running Spectrum Protect today. And this is it for this session. I hope that you got some takeaways, and we would love to hear from you to have a dialogue around your business and your current data protection setup. Make sure to reach out. My personal contact info is right here, and please feel free to get in touch directly with me. Thank you very much all for attending this session, and as mentioned, I'll stay around if you guys have questions. Just type them into the chat and I'll make sure to stay around to give you some answers. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of TechU 21. Thank you.